channeled timeless reading for you when you see it. How are you doing? I channeled through some messages ahead of time for you. My spirit guides, the angels and source brought them through, and they will also bring through any additional information that's for your eyes good as I go through these. So the first message that came through for you is pretty much a message that you are headed towards something greater, a greater time, a greater expanse, a time where things are greater. You're expanding is something I'm getting. Probably not physically, of course. It's actually more, I mean, maybe you're heading to the gym and trying to get jacked or something, but it's actually more about you as a being, energetically, your life expanding, things like that. You're headed towards something greater and you need to be patient is something I'm getting as well. It may or may not come in right away. They're kind of indicating it might not come in right away, but if you keep going, a lot of you are going to find that there's a great time ahead of you. And great time could be taking a number of different ways, of course, with that phrase. But really what they're trying to say is something greater is coming in than what you are going through right now, if that makes sense. So I'll just read this message that came through. You are headed towards a greater time in your life. The universe is up-leveling you rapidly and elevating you out of darkness and despair. You might not have had everything you've been meant to have this lifetime come in yet, but that doesn't mean it won't. Have patience and move forward. You are heading towards a greater expanse in your life. So, a couple things here. This might sound a little bit obvious, but there are things that are meant for you, or things you think or know are meant for you that haven't come in yet, and maybe you're losing hope a little bit is something I'm getting. It doesn't mean it won't happen is something I'm getting. Maybe it just hasn't been time yet. Maybe the universe is just waiting for the right time where you can really hold this thing in your life and keep it around and honor this manifestation and not lose it right away is something I'm getting. So have hope for the things that you know are supposed to be yours is one of the messages coming through with that as well. Some of you are meant for great things, or a lot of you is something I'm getting, and you need to not doubt that and trust it will happen at the right time. It doesn't have to be right now. Maybe you're in the time that precedes that, where you're being prepared for that, or you're growing into that, or maybe things are actually moving you in that direction and you know it is something I'm getting, and you just have to be patient while things grow. There's that quote that some of you might not like just because of the implication, but Rome wasn't built in a day. And I know sometimes it sucks to hear the word patience, but sometimes that's the answer. And sometimes that's the thing that will help us be more at peace while the thing we are looking to bring in comes in, or while we're waiting for our manifestations to come in is something I'm getting. And the thing they showed me with that was a walrus, which is a main spirit animal showing up with this reading for some reason, which does tie into the next couple messages that came through as well. One was blubber, kind of like a walrus has. And they said, you are insulated from the worst of life. You are kept safe. The universe is lighting your way. Even if you don't see necessarily, and some of you do, but if you are feeling like you're in a place where you're not seeing like all the way, or you're not seeing like the 10 steps ahead to like how to get to your destination, take the step forward that you do see, and the ones after that will light up. Take the steps the universe is presenting to you, one at a time if necessary, and you will get there, is what I'm hearing, most of you. Or the trajectory will shift to something better that's meant for you that you didn't even realize was meant for you. And maybe it was kept hidden from you for good reason, so you didn't mess it up or poo-poo it or something like that. And sometimes our major life changes are hidden from us, so we keep going the direction we're going so that we hit them at the right times, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't realize I was going to be here channeling for you or doing channeled, intuitive readings for people as a business or anything like that. Or maybe a part of me deep down did somewhere on a soul level, I knew, of course. But, if you asked me 10 years ago, that's probably not what I would have told you I was going to be doing around this time period at all. I was trying to, there were other things I was going towards in life. So just keep that in mind as something I'm getting. Like, there are big changes in store for you that have not yet presented themselves that would bring you joy is something I'm getting, if you knew how good they would be for you and where they would lead down the road. So don't feel like you have it all figured out right now. As far as what's in store for you is another thing I would like to say, another thing that's coming through for you. They're also showing me a lantern, and lantern did show up here somewhere in this reading. I could have sworn, but I don't know where it is, so I'm going to see what they want to channel through about it right now that they're showing me this lantern here. And I don't know if walrus would be an animal that this would apply to, but sometimes they'll use like blubber or fat or the oil from those things for lanterns, or they used to back in the day. Probably not as much anymore, which is probably ethically and environmentally better. But as far as what this lantern means for you right now, it's just saying that the way is being lit. Some of you might feel like you're in the dark, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scale of things, you're not. The way is just being shown to you at the right time is something I'm getting, which is good. There was also just this quote that you are being elevated out of darkness at the beginning of the reading. And I just feel like that's something you need to hear. I feel like that's something that's helpful for you to hear. It's because you are, especially if you feel like confused or something like that. Next message, this is a good one. Success is on the way. For those of you who are trying to be successful, success is on the way. Some of you are putting a lot of effort into something and it will pay off, is something I'm getting, either directly or indirectly, or maybe even both, or in maybe even unforetold ways is something I'm getting, which will be good. But I would keep heading towards your dreams, even if they change over time or whatever, like we've been talking about. It's worth it. And I'm hearing you need to. Need is, I don't know, that's just what I heard. The next message, they showed me a whale, and whale came up a couple times here. There was an additional reminder to be gentle on yourself through any like healing periods you are going through. I'm getting you are in a healing period. They said you are healing a lot right now or will soon. The universe is elevating you to a higher place where healing is less of an issue. And where healing holds you back less is something I'm getting. Not that healing ever holds us back. Sometimes it's necessary for us to heal, rewire something to move forward in a better way or in the direction we're meant to. So I wouldn't want you to feel like healing is a hindrance to you or not worth your time. Maybe if you're, for instance, caught in like healing cycle after healing cycle after healing cycle, and you're like healing loop after healing, like you just keep trying to heal, and it's like one healing crisis after the next. Maybe you could slow it down and just pay a little bit of attention to that and ask yourself why you keep running into that or running towards that as a mechanism to live your life by instead of enjoying some of your life, or seeing healing as something you're utilizing to get to somewhere else you're trying to go, whether it's a state of being like peace of mind or peace or higher vibrations, or to attract something in, yada, yada. You get me. Because sometimes healing is a means to an end, if that makes sense. It's not just about the healing, and sometimes it might just be just about the healing, and just that might be what you need, but hopefully you understand, like, usually there's some place we're trying to get with the healing, and staying in a healing crisis forever is not the right way to go, is what I'm hearing. So if you're going through a healing thing right now, be gentle on yourself through that, and eventually you get to a place where you'll be able to move forward without having to heal so much, is something I'm getting. And I know there are different ways you could look at it, different ways I've heard it, that I might say something else to a different person, if that makes sense. But hopefully what I'm talking to here is resonating for you and making sense, and you get it. I'm getting you do. So let's move forward here. Peacock was the next thing that showed up for you. Peacock, spirit animal, or just a peacock as a symbol or a sign. Strut your stuff is the message. Have confidence and put yourself out there. Another message is that the universe is healing your solar plexus chakra through outward events, or however it needs to, in order to get you to move forward. You need to put yourself out there, especially if you are trying to build something. But even if it is for job interviews, applying for jobs, love, somewhere unrelated, maybe it's on TikTok or an app. This is probably just more business related, is kind of what they said as well. I'm just hearing you need to put yourself out there like consistently, and even if like something doesn't do as well you'd hope, like keep trying, try something different, or try another video and really test it, is something I'm getting. Maybe you just didn't post it at the right time or something like that. So don't give up on something just because you try one thing one time and it doesn't work. Especially like something like a TikTok is something I'm getting. Try multiple times, try multiple ways, try different things. You never know what's going to take off, is something I'm getting. Or maybe you do. Maybe you're... my philosophy is that you can always know. And I like that as a phrase. And if words create, wouldn't you want to create yourself always knowing, or at least create the possibility you can always know rather than something else. And I know we sometimes, maybe depending on where you're at or where you're at with your intuition or your channeling or things like that, there are periods of time where maybe things are a little bit more on the dark, and I would trust that. And sometimes the universe does that for our own good as well. So there's never anything wrong with where you're at per se. But if I were to create, I would probably create We Can Know Anything. Anyways, next message so the other part of that, your solar plexus is healing. You can focus on that if you'd like to. I'm hearing that's recommended. So whether it's Reiki videos on YouTube, you do your own self-healing, if you do energy work, sound healing, whatever it is, that would be probably good for you. And would help you move forward if you need help moving over a rut or something like that, or moving past blocks that have you move forward. And sometimes the blocks are there to redirect you if it's over and over and over again, especially if it's external and seems really synchronistic and you're like, wow, universe is not letting this happen. I would trust that and try something else that does flow. And the universe is like, okay, let's remove the barriers, and it just, happens. And sometimes, you'll have to work through things on things you're supposed to do, but you get me. Next message here. They showed me, so this is where whale spirit animal came through again. And this is actually about rapid elevation. We already talked about this, but rapid elevation is coming. And in addition to that, timeline changes are coming soon for this collective watching this reading in a massive positive force and way. It's really getting you out of the loops where you feel stuck, or at least out of old patterns. So timeline shifts is an interesting thing that can show up in a number of different ways. It could be you're moving in a certain direction. The universe is like, oh, here's a better direction. Like if this thing kind of crumbles or doesn't work out, like maybe you have a partnership in business you're working on, and then the other person just kind of like dips, or maybe like something ridiculous happens. Like hopefully they don't die, but that was an example I was hearing, like something like absurd like that. It just means that wasn't the right thing for you. Or timeline shifted and you have something better coming in for you. In what I'm hearing is timelines won't shift unless it's going to lead to something better for you, is what I'm hearing, especially if you're asking for that. And you do have a semblance of intention you can set to help shift things in that way. Along, like an example would be, if timelines shift, I ask that they only shift for the better. If timelines shift, I ask that they only shift for the better, or something like that. Because you can kind of put intentions out there, move things in a certain direction. You're not necessarily always at the whim of everything, but that's an example of an intention you could set if you are afraid about timeline shifting and something, changing like that. But again, it could be really positive. It could be just something doesn't work out. And if you're like, okay, and you're willing to like let go, then something new and better comes in like really quickly, like right away. And I initially heard that about timelines from Lee Harris, and I think it was like in an energy update. So it was interesting because that did happen to me last year at some point. There was something I'd been working on for like years. And then they're like, okay, can it? I'm like, what? My guys are like, can it? I'm like, what? Can it? But as I like came into it, eventually they gave me something new or something new to focus or shift into. I think I'd already started working on it, but regardless, something did come in to replace it that was better, which was cool. So don't freak out is what I'd say. And it could be something completely different. You could just have a new idea that changes everything, or a new person coming out of nowhere, or something like if you're single and it's love, or it could be something different as well, or like a new business opportunity, a job offer, something that's just really out of the blue and you didn't see it coming. That's like better is something I'm getting. So keep that in mind. They're showing me fish hooks and like a fishing rod and pull as well. So it's almost like the universe is fishing to bring you up to a higher timeline, and there's multiple opportunities for it to do so. And I know if you are a fish, you might see a fishing hook as something negative. In this instance, it's the universe trying to lure you into something really good, if that makes sense. So it's like these different fish hooks where the universe is fishing to get you to a higher timeline, which is really interesting. And there's multiple ways that could happen. So don't limit it. Maybe even have fun with it is something I'm hearing, and trust the universe will get you there. And if the universe wants something to happen, it will make it happen. Trust me. So, and that's not meant to be ominous, by the way. Next message, they show me a new leaf. And so this year, whenever you're seeing this, it's timeless, is about new beginnings and new prosperity for you. A lot of you have new ways of making money coming in, even if you don't think so. Could be a new job, could be an expansion to your business, could be a different way of doing business you're already doing. Could be a side hustle, could be someone's gifting you money. It could be a parent, I don't know. Could be a lot of different things, but there are new ways of either making money coming in or new avenues of money coming to you, which is good. They're giving me the word royalties as well. Maybe some of you will be selling something you get royalties off of, which would be cool. Some of you are writing books. I feel like those will do well. Most of you who are doing that, things like that, which is good. Another piece of advice for you is if something doesn't work out, just try something different is what I'd say. That's just coming through right now. They're showing me selenite, like a selenite tower. I would say some of you need to work with selenite just to help clear your energies, keep it in your home, to help clear things out, just to help keep you in a higher state, like maybe even like a little selenite bead bracelet or a necklace or something. Could really help you out and could potentially help with channeling as well, or clearing a channel if you feel like you need that. Not all of you do need that. Some of you are channelers, you're totally good. It's something I'm getting. So just whatever resonates for you on that one. Next, they're showing me the, it's funny, I've been looking to stop saying and I'm maybe not doing that well, and I just gave like the world's longest sung right there. So I thought that was funny for some reason. They're showing me the, there it is again, Star Tarot card, and it's about, there is new hope for your future. There's a lot of hope for you and your success and your dreams. I would say keep going and don't give up is one of the messages they have for you right there. They're showing me a pig as well, or a hog, and they're giving me the words new success with this pig or hog. So let me see what's up with that and what they'd like to bring through for you as clarification regarding that. I feel like you don't, the words I'm hearing are you don't realize how successful you can be, how big things can get for you. And remember, the first message in here was like a greater time in your life, or greater things coming into your life, or you're being led to that. Long term especially something I'm getting, but it could come in very soon following this reading as well, like in the next week even, or maybe you're even on the cusp of it and you're like, yeah, I know, and you just stuck around with this reading for giggles, I guess, I don't know, for other things you needed to hear more than likely. Or maybe you're just zoning out and this reading is playing and you'll come to for like the last message and that's what you needed to hear. I don't know. But I feel like there is a lot of hope for you and you will be successful. The next message, they also gave me a phrase like a star being born, or like they showed a star being born. And it's either like a new hope in your life, like we just talked about, or it is you being born into a greater star, or you're becoming a star. And they're also showing me a shooting star and giving me the phrase make a wish. So this could be your sign to make wishes right now, or write down manifestations. They're showing me a vision board as well. Maybe do a vision board, put your manifestations out there, and trust the universe will get you there. If you are coming from a standpoint of ask and you will receive, or because ask and you will receive, like if you ask, it'll come, then that's what you'll get. You'll ask and you will receive. And I'm getting that is how it works as well. You don't need to overcomplicate it. And yes, sometimes you need to trust your intuition and take action on something you're being guided to take action on. In my experience, when I ask for something or manifest something, I'm also compelled to take action at the right times to bring it in. Or I'll be like, okay, I'm asking for this, anything I need to do, universe, please have me do it. So I make it happen, or, yada, yada. And sometimes you have to take a lot of action. Sometimes you don't have to take any action. It just drops in your lap, but you've got to pay attention. And if the universe is telling you, okay, go work on your book, but you're like, no, I want to eat ice cream, potato chips on the couch, might not work out as well as if you go write out your book when you're supposed to. And that doesn't mean like if you messed up and you didn't listen to the universe one time, that it's never going to happen because you messed up and broke the universe's trust. Like, no, you haven't. Just like, okay, I messed that up. I opened to other opportunities to write my book at the right time, and they'll show up. The universe will still guide you to write that book. And sometimes it can be like a GPS. Like if you miss a turn, there's still other turns you can take. It's not always you missed your chance and you blew it forever. And in fact, it's never like that is what they're saying. So keep that in mind as well. That's kind of it for this reading. They're showing me a peppermint candy cane and like Santa Claus. I feel like you have a lot of rewards in the future, a lot of gifts being brought your way by the universe. You're also not going to miss out like on your destiny or the big things in store for you. And some of you are afraid of that and you don't need to be. There's a lot of good things for ahead of you, and I would trust that. And trust that the things that are meant for you will come in. That's it. I hope that was helpful. Did whatever was for the highest good for it to do for you. And any other things from the source before we part ways? Not really. You have a lot of gifts coming, so I'll close it there. You have a great rest of your day, evening. See you on another post.